Hello, this is a small training video on how to fill out an official attendance roster at two major parts of the semester, at the very beginning and at the very end. At the very beginning, the most important date will be the census date. Once you notice what the census date is, you should take a ruler and draw a red line right down after that census date of the 28th in my example. What the red line indicates, or is supposed to emphasize, is that if a student shows up before the red line, to the left of the red line, then they are officially entered in the class. If they don't show up until after the red line, then they have to be considered a no-show for the class, no matter what excuse they give you. Now, if it's an online class, they have to show that they've done the warm-up quiz in Moodle by the red line. If they do it after the red line, then again, they also are going to be considered a no-show. So let's say, for instance, on the 21st, the first day of class, the first week of class if it's online, that Patch Adams actually showed up. So you put a little E in there. Napoleon did not show up. Julius Caesar did show up. Charles Darwin did show up. Amelia did not, and Henry Ford did show up. So on your first class, you had 4 students show up and 2 that didn't. For the ones that did not show up, you cannot put an absence in there because they can't be absent until they have entered the class. So don't put anything for Napoleon and Amelia Earhart. Now let's say that Napoleon finally shows up on the second day. So on the second day we're going to put an E, but we're not going to put an absence beforehand. Now the blank beforehand is officially an absence for the student, but for the attendance roster purposes they can't have an absence until after their E is put on the paper. Let's say Amelia Earhart still has not shown up for the class. So on the third day of class, Amelia finally shows up. And let's say Napoleon was absent. So Napoleon was absent on this third day of class, so you put a little A in there. And Amelia finally shows up. What's going to happen is you're going to have to tell Amelia that she cannot come to class because she did not show up before the 10% period or the census date. So you still do not make a mark for Amelia even though she did show up. But what you're going to have to do is go to the very end over here and put in as a grade an NS for no-show. So they are not part of your roster and they're not going to be part of your grades at the end of the semester. Alright, so on the 10% date when you have to turn these in to your dean, make sure you go down here to the bottom and sign your name so that they have an official signature and a date that goes along with it. So let's say you turn this in on the 10th of June. And mail the top sheet over to your either immediate supervisor or to the dean of your program. Alright, so as the semester goes by, you can put in absences for other people. Let's say this is a very, very short semester. And certain people withdrew during the semester. Now there's 2 different ways of doing this. They might have a few absences in a row and then they decided they have no way of catching back up, or you have informed them that. And you could put a W on the date that they withdrew. But sometimes that date doesn't match up with the attendance date. They might have withdrew on the 15th or 17th, and there's no 15th and 17th up here. So the best thing to do is to just write a W, and let's say they withdrew on the 17th. So that's all you would have to do here. Now they're withdrawing with a bunch of absences. So way down here, usually what I do is put LDA above the seat total for last date of attendance. And for the person, Julius Caesar here, who withdrew on the 17th, he hasn't shown up since the 4th here. So over here for last date of attendance, I would put 6-4. And that way it gives some kind of indication when the last time they were in class compared to the official paperwork being completed. Alright, let's say Charles Darwin, he was only absent once. Amelia, remember, never showed up, so there should be no marks for her at all. And let's say Henry Ford also was only absent once. Now, at the end of the semester, let's say it's on the 25th here, everybody showed up, they took a final, whatever it was, and their grades came out to be this. Let's say that Patch Adams here got an A, Napoleon got a B, let's say that Charles got a D, and Henry here got an F. Now, since Henry got an F, and let's say he missed the last couple classes, it doesn't matter if he showed up for all of them or if he just stopped coming to class eventually, you still have to give a last date of attendance because his grade was an F. Pretty much what that's saying is they want to know if he got an F because he just stopped coming, or did he get an F even though he came throughout the whole class. Now, if he showed up on the 25th, your last date of attendance would be 6/25. But I threw a few absences in here indicating he didn't show up at the end of the semester. So his last date of attendance is the 16th. So that would have to be put in here. Now this generally goes on, I think it's the yellow copy. This would be on the yellow copy. And the signature again would be blank, so you'd have to sign it again, date it again. And you have to make sure that all the grades are in here. Ooh, I have a withdrawal. I forgot to note it. And if you're missing anything, they have to have some kind of mark in here, whether it's a no-show, grade, or withdrawal. Something has to go in that column. If it's a withdrawal, they need a last date of attendance. If it's a failure, they also need a last date of attendance. When you fill out a withdrawal form, you also have to indicate the last date of attendance on the withdrawal form. This goes again to your immediate supervisor or the dean of your program. And this is what an official roster should look like at the end of the semester. I hope this helps.